It's a dog's life. It's a dog-eat-dog world. The place has gone to the dogs. Now I'm going to see a man about a dog. You'd better leave sleeping dogs lie. No, don't bother, because you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. There we go. Good morning and welcome to English Podcast with Paul. Unscripted, unedited, and just natural native English speaking for about 30 minutes. Okay, so today I want to talk about dogs. Oh, there's a cat in the background. Dogs. The interesting relationship we have with dogs is very, very Western, very traditional, and it goes back thousands and thousands of years. I have some notes in front of me. Like I said, it's not scripted, but there are some notes because I want to seem like I'm giving the listeners, some professional, no, not professional, some really thought about, some really thought about topic, that I made a little bit of effort. That's the word. Yeah, so I've made effort for you guys. For you guys listening, I've made some effort for you. It's taken me a good few hours to research and find out more, as well as my own experience directly with animals, and especially dogs. And personally, I have a real love and passion for dogs. I probably had 4 or 5 dogs myself in my life. I'm nearly 50, so every 7 years, something like that, to 10 years. Dogs have been really important to my families as I've grown up. Not just because we all like dogs for security reasons. It's a known fact that if you have a dog, you're less likely to get broken into because the amount of noise they create, the fear factor, the unknown, is a dog going to attack the intruder? So not just for that, but having another member of the family that can just listen and can give you a purpose in life. You've got to feed the dog, you've got to take care of the dog. It's also a great tool for showing your children about responsibility, and the fact that it's also a part of life that animals and humans get older and become less able and eventually die. So that's a good lesson for children on a number of different sides, angles, avenues, whatever. All right. So there's the responsibility of the dog, the helping the children with the dog, responsibility of looking after it, feeding it every day, walking the animal every day, taking the dog to the vets. Now there's a topic, we can come on to that. The vets. What else did I say? Yeah, feeding the animal, looking after the animal. The animal gets old. Part of everyday life that we try to shield a lot of our children from, especially in the West. Try to shield our children away from the bad things in life. Like an argument in a family, or when somebody gets angry, or other bad things such as animals and pets dying and people dying. We all have to accept that people will die. It is a horrible thing and it's very traumatic, not just for adults but for children. It can be very scarring and traumatizing for many, many years. Yet it's a fact of life. We cannot get away from it. There's no denying it. It's going to happen no matter who you are. Right, anyway, I digress. So, like I said, there's a lot of love and passion I have for dogs. I've taught 3 or 4, maybe, 4 dogs, a lot of behaviors, spent a lot of time with dogs, learning about dogs. I've watched a lot of dog videos, especially about behaviors and training. That's really been helpful for me in my relationship with dogs. So dogs really do play a big part of my life, and I get a lot from dogs in return, you know, just not just the extra relationship of somebody you can talk to, but also the serotonin and oxytocin, which are the hormones that our bodies release. I'll get a bit more onto that in a moment. So there's a few things I want to talk about in regards to dogs, and you may agree, you may disagree, but this is just from my perspective and the way I see the world. So as I said, it is there's also a few euphemisms or idioms and English phrases about dogs in our everyday language. Hence why I'm talking about it now. So the dogs and canines and pets are really intrinsic to our life and to our language. Hence those phrases. So what else do we know about dogs? All right. So what else do we know? So we've got show dogs. So there's a TV show. No, not TV. There's a show every year called Crufts, and it is shown on the TV. All right. It's on the TV and probably the radio. And this dog show where people take their dogs, and more often clubs, specifically expensive, well-to-do clubs with high levels of pedigree, you know, so meaning that the animal has very little changes in its DNA. So a pedigree dog can be very, very expensive. It has good heritage and what was the other words? Heritage, ancestry, that's it, and can be traced in many cases. So these dogs at the pedigrees, these pedigree dogs go on show at Crufts. There's a lot of money involved, advertising, sponsorships, and things like this. The dogs are judged on many different aspects, whether it's their breeding, their coat, the way they walk, their body structure, according to what the judges feel is the best. Another part of Crufts that's really well known is dog agility. So there'll be races with different categories of age of dog or the type of dog, and whether it can run through these hoops and poles and seesaws and sitting where it's supposed to and things like this. It's well worth watching just to understand what the Western culture is like. And that is in the UK. I imagine there's some very similar things in America too, and other English-speaking countries. Have a look. I think you'll find it very interesting. Okay, so that's show dogs. Now, personally, with my ethics and beliefs, I feel that it's wrong to show a dog and to buy it specifically for breeding and for its pedigree and make money from breeding it. Personally, I think that's wrong because of my ethics. But, you know, everybody has freedom of choice in this country anyway. Okay, so that's show dogs. The other type of dogs we have, which again I feel a little bit ethically upset about, and that would be working dogs. Working dogs. I have a little bit of cognitive dissonance around working dogs. Yes, all right, we have other working animals, and I'll get onto that in a moment. But specifically, dogs that work for, say, the police, with anger and aggression that's trained into them on purpose. These dogs are purposely trained to be angry and aggressive when given the cues and when they're taught and trained to do so. And it is very intense training. The training is very good. Not just for the police force and other forces or security guards that use them, because the dogs are kind of easy to train. You know, they're very loyal, and that makes it good in that respect. It also helps them do their job in controlling crowds and catching people running away, for example. So there's working dogs that are like Alsatians with aggression. Now, part of the issue comes when these dogs are ready to retire. Not all of them, but some of them have to be exterminated. Killed, put down. And that is because they're too dangerous to put back into society with other families. Which I understand, you can't take that chance that the dog could one day turn around and maul a child to death, could kill a child. But it's not the dog's fault. The dog didn't choose to be bred for being aggressive and angry. So that's part of my issue and concern with it. Other working dogs are sniffer dogs. Excuse me. Sniffer dogs for drugs. Again, helping the police or even customs at airports and docks to sniff out drugs or ammunition, things like this. So again, I understand the dog has got a really, really good nose that is 10 times better than us, maybe more. And so the dog is a very obvious choice. Or any animal, I guess. But nevertheless, we're training an animal to do something it's not doing naturally on its own in the wild. So again, this animal comes to the end of its life, and these sniffer dogs are more likely to be rehomed. So that's a different side. But yeah, so the sniffer dogs, there's the aggression dogs, and now the funny thing is now we even have I'm trying to think of the right name. Working dogs that help people with different disabilities and different issues. I can't remember the exact term. So a dog, maybe like a Labrador, would go into a care home where there's elderly people, and it would give therapy dogs. There we go. I eventually thought of the word therapy dogs. So these therapy dogs would go into, say, a nursing home or a hospital or anywhere where people are feeling sad and low and down. These dogs can help because of the oxytocin or serotonin that's released in our brains when we stroke a dog, when we see a dog wagging its tail and being all happy. And obviously the dog can play games with some people. So that's a very positive thing, a very happy thing. Again, these dogs have to be trained to do something they're not naturally doing in the wild. But we'll come back to that again in the future, in a moment. So there's these therapy dogs. And therapy dogs are in a really wide spectrum of the care industry now. So you've got therapy dogs for elderly people in hospitals, in care homes, therapy dog for people suffering with anxiety and depression. There's also therapy cats, as another story, in prisons in America. So, I mean, that's a positive thing, helping people rehabilitate and take responsibility by caring for an animal in the prisons, the cats. So that's a positive thing in some people's eyes. And there's a really, really huge spectrum. I don't know where you draw the line. A therapy dog can be used for many, many things, even in schools, I guess. So that's therapy dogs. And then you have other working dogs, as I was about to mention, such as for the blind or for the disabled or for the hard of hearing. So they can be out in public, so they can be out on the streets and having a more independent life. And I'm sure, I hold my hands up, if I was blind or deaf or had an ailment and I was offered a dog, I think I would say yes. So, like I said, cognitive dissonance, being confused with my emotions in that I would probably say yes because it would impact my life and make it better, I'm sure. It'll make my life better, having a dog that would help me. I've seen dogs on YouTube and on TV help with the laundry, picking up laundry, opening up the washing machine, getting things from the fridge. And like I said, with dogs for people with hard of hearing, when the doorbell goes, when they're able to, their mobile phone rings, when the fire alarm rings, these dogs are very well trained to really support and enable people to have a more active and independent life. So that's very, very good in that sense. And then that moves us on to family dogs. So I wouldn't say everybody in the UK, but there's a really big percentage, a really big number of the amount of family homes that have a dog. Like I said, not just for security, but as a tool to teach children, and then also as a companion for those that are living on their own, or elderly people that have less visitors. You know, it gives them a purpose to get up, take the dog out for a walk, feed the dog, have company, watch TV with the dog, anything. So this dog gives purpose to elderly people also, or even just lonely people. So dogs and families have been together for a long, long time. All right, moving on. These amazing creatures, like I said, are deep within our culture. And here's some examples in regards to stories. You know, stories are all part of our culture. So there's Hachiko, the dog from Japan. As far as I know, there's a brass statue of this dog as well. So this dog apparently was really close to its owner, and then the owner went to work on the train every day and come back every day. And the dog would go to the train and wait for the owner, leave with the owner in the morning and then come wait for the train in the afternoon. And this went on and on, I think for a few years. And then one day the owner died at work and so never came back on the train. The dog was taken by a member of the family of the owner and was reported to go back to the train every day at the same time to wait for the owner. And this went on for years and years and years. So, and then it got picked up by a local paper. I think this was in the 1800s or 1900s. So it got picked up by the paper and it became a very famous story about the loyalty and the love of this dog for the owner. So that was Hachiko, the dog from Japan. Okay, then we have Bamse, was a Saint Bernard that served a Norwegian minesweeper during World War II. I mean, wow, saving people's lives and helped sniffing out mines in the World War. I mean, that's a big thing. That's a big thing. All right. Swansea Jack was a black retriever, like Labrador retriever, who with his owner William Thomas near the River of Twain in Swansea, Wales during the 1930s. Now this dog is allegedly saved, I think it was 27 people. Maybe it understood that it saw a drowning boy one day and helped to bring the boy out and save the boy's life, that it got a lot of reward and a lot of praise. And so I guess the dog stayed around the river and helped save other people from the river. I don't know, 27 sounds like a lot. like its full-time job is to stay there. But apparently this was over many, many years. So Swansea Jack. All right. Let's look at why some dogs are different. For example, the Saint Bernard. Bernard is a dog specifically bred for a single purpose. Now, we sometimes see these on TV adverts with like a collar around the neck and then like a big kind of bottle. And allegedly on this bottle there would be alcohol. And you would turn the tap and you get alcohol out. And this would be to help people come around from unconsciousness or help them rehydrate, although it's not a hydrating drink, is it? Alcohol. I don't know. So we've seen many TV adverts with a famous Saint Bernard, really big, strong dog with alcohol. And so we know that these dogs are very famous for search and rescue. So as it says here, especially bred for purpose, search and rescue. Yeah, search and rescue. And apparently the monks at St. Bernard Pass, a dangerous snowy divide between Switzerland and Italy, bred them for hundreds of years, perhaps even as far back as 1695, to rescue travellers who'd lost and buried in the snow. Oh, okay. So that's where the story of the St. Bernard comes from. Interesting. All right. Apparently they found victims and one dog could dig them out and sit on them for warmth. Imagine that. A St. Bernard, a really big dog sitting on you with his big fluffy coat. I don't know if that's scary or quite happiness and positive and embracing. All right. The warmth for a while and head back to the monastery for help brings Saint Bernard on our list. Okay, okay. So they saved lots and lots of lives apparently over the years through the rescue, search and rescue. Okay, interesting. Right. So that's just a few stories. Also, like I said about stories and playing a part in our culture, the dogs, how intrinsic they are to our culture. We've also got TV shows and movies. I'm sure in other countries they have dogs or other preferred pets playing a big part in theatre and in stories of their own. I'd imagine going back a long, long way, maybe to the point of where dogs and humans became friends. But we'll get onto that in a moment. All right, okay. So looking at TV shows and movies. So the really famous one that everybody will remember from Western society would be Lassie. Lassie from Come Home Lassie, 1943. I mean, obviously that was black and white TV, but that's quite a few years ago. All right. Arguably the most famous canine character of all time, Lassie was a female rough collie and appeared in a series of short stories, TV shows and films. I remember Lassie. It must have been on in the 80s, I don't know. Okay, Lassie. Then we got, Toto from The Wizard of Oz. If you haven't seen The Wizard of Oz, it's a great film. It's a great film, especially the original old version. 1939 that was made. 1939. Wow. Wow. Okay. Toto was the faithful little companion of Judy Garland's heroine Dorothy. You ever hear of Dorothy? She clicked her red heels together, saying, "I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home." She said it 3 times. Okay. Was actually a female Cairnine Terrier named Terry. At the time of filming, Terry was paid £125 a week, an astronomical amount for that time. Well, yeah. Wow. Just imagine what that £125 a week would be now. Crazy amount of money. Goodness. Right, okay. So next we have Rin Tin Tin, Where the North Begins, 1923. Nicknamed Rin Tin Tin by his human co-star, Rin Tin Tin was a German shepherd featuring in a series of adventures of Rin Tin Tin films starting in 1923. Now, I don't know if this is the correct one, but all I can think about is Hergé's Adventures of Tintin. And I think many people think it's French, but I think it's actually Belgium. And there's a lot of artistry and illustrations in many tourist shops, especially relating to French. So we were in Cambodia, and even in some of the shops there, tourist shops there was illustrations and things with pictures of Tintin. You know, Hergé's Adventures of Tintin. I can only imagine that's the right one. If not, let me know in the comments, and I'll edit it and change things differently later, or just apologise. All right, number 4, we've got Beethoven from the film Beethoven film in 1992. Okay, a bit more modern now. I remember Beethoven more of a child's film. Lots of adventures and silliness. I think it had Steve Martin in it. Okay. This canine was a hero, a slobbery, droopy-faced, but lovable. Again, St. Bernard dog, who had the knack of getting his family into mischief. Yeah, it was a very funny film, lots of slobber. Yeah, it was a good kids film. I liked it a lot. Then there's Benji from the Benji films in 1974 to 2004. Lovable, black, brave, tan, mixed breed dog, was originally played by a pup named Higgins in the 1974 film Benji. Higgins had a success of 14 years. Whew. Think of that money. 14 years. You'd breed another dog just to look the same, wouldn't you? Because that's a lot of money for getting your dog to do stuff. And he appeared in a few other things. Oh, honourable mention. I don't know if you ever watched it, but I watched it and liked it. Was Hooch from Turner and Hooch. That was That was a different dog altogether. That was, what kind of dog was that? It's not a mastiff. I think it was a bulldog. A bulldog, yeah. Not an English bulldog. I think it was a French bulldog. So they're like a little bit taller, still with the big cheeks and face. So Turner and Hooch, 1989. That was really like a blockbuster, Hollywood blockbuster. He was crime fighter. His owner was a detective, and he got the dog accidentally through an investigation, and then he took on the dog, and it helped him find the bad guys. Yeah, it was quite fun. It was good. It was good back in the day. I mean, you might think it's rubbish now, but oh well. All right then, let's look at some sciencey stuff. Sciencey stuff. All right, okay. On a biological level, our brains use the same neurological pathways to process our love of pets as well as our love of children. Oh, there you go. So children and pets are the same. Just as much love and energy is given to both. All right, okay. So then some studies have shown that our brains release like serotonin and oxytocin when we stroke and pet dogs. And that's from a scientific perspective, done in studies. Okay, well, that reiterates what I said earlier about the working dogs in the hospitals and care homes, you know, those therapeutic dogs. Okay, so that links that together. Also, science tells us that human dogs is a mutual. Okay, well, that's good. Right, so yeah, I read here earlier that the dogs also get a release of serotonin or oxytocin or whatever happy hormone it is. So the dogs are really compelled themselves to like and to be petted and to have fun and played with because they get the same release of happy hormones. So it's not just humans. And also I read that dogs are the only creatures to get this hormone and naturally want to be with humans, all right? It's a mutual benefit, if that's what you can call it. It's symbiosis, if you will. All right, symbiosis. They say also it can help, talking about therapeutic dogs and family dogs, it also says it can help release, in the study, relieve other stressful, what's the word, ailments and problems, lowers blood pressure, reduces stress in the body, you know, like cortisone, and can help alleviate anxiety and depression, things like that. So that's what this study says, this scientific study. I haven't got the name of it here. It is on one of my pages, but I'm sure you can look it up for yourself. All right, this is quite interesting. Dogs may have become domesticated because our ancestors had more meat than they could eat during the Ice Age. Okay, well, that would make sense. You know, logically, you'd think, you know, if you've got some left over, they're scrounging animals. They're quite nice. They like to hang near us. And then maybe they got territorial with us. You know, this is our pack. They're going to feed me, that kind of thing. So that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so hunter-gatherers may have shared any surplus with wolves. So obviously dogs came from wolves. And then obviously over years and years of breeding, they become more and more friendly and accepting of humans. All right, so the timing of this for domesticated dogs unclear. Genetic evidence suggests the dogs split from their wolves ancestors between 27,000 and 40,000 years ago. That's a long time. That's a long time. The oldest known dog burial. People bury dogs. Well, we bury dogs now, actually. In the West, we bury our loved ones and we bury our dogs as well. You know, and even cats. Sometimes even smaller animals like guinea pigs and rodents that we may have for pets. Yes, here in the West, we do have rodents for pets sometimes. You can train a rat, for example. Talking of rats, which I'll come on to in a minute. Rats are very, very well trained, easy to train, and very good creatures as pets. Can be very, very clean. But I think there's a different kind of breed. Anyway, right. The oldest, I digress. The oldest known burial from 14,000 years ago suggests dogs were firmly installed as pets by then. Yeah, I would say so. I'd say so. Okay. What does this say? And it was said, not sure whether domesticated happened in Asia or Europe. So Did it happen in Asia or Europe or all over the place at the same time? Nobody knows for sure. Nobody knows for sure. Yes, we know they were used probably from hunter-gatherer times. So yeah. All right. On another note, this is from a familiar, another similar study. Fetching of the ball, fetching a ball is quintessential for a dog thing that we all know. Fetching a ball or a stick, you know, and then wagging the tail and being after the scraps of food, things like this. They're all very British. They're all very dog known and English known things. So fetching a ball, there's been a study done with wolves, and it was like the third or fourth generation of wolves that the wolf fetched a ball and brought it back to the people in the study, I guess, the research assistants, the scientists, whatever. So that was third or fourth generation. So that is obviously within the capabilities and genetic DNA makeup of a wolf to bring back to its friend the plaything. And so playing, obviously we know lots of wild animals play, but playing with humans, that's a really big step of understanding. Okay. So that was a study done by Christina Hansen Wheat at Stockholm University in Sweden in January 2020. So fairly modern, recent stuff. All right. So there's a lot of evidence to show the bond between humans and dogs. But in other countries, I've seen different relationships, especially in Asia. There's a whole different feeling in their culture towards dogs. So like I said, I've been living in Cambodia for a while, and although generally they don't eat dogs, you know, there is the joke about it, but they don't have the same love or care or feeling for dogs as we do. Dogs are often in packs, especially in the streets, to try and fend for themselves. And dogs generally are afraid of humans, from my experience in Asia. And you definitely don't want to be stroking one, petting one, or even putting your hand out, because often you will get bitten. And we don't know if they have rabies or other diseases that are very, very bad for humans. I mean, rabies can kill. It can make you go crazy, and then you can die from it. So getting a rabies shot or rabies injection pretty early on is very, very important. So many travelers that go to Asia are warned not to touch the dogs, you know, unless they're specifically told this dog is okay, unless it's a pet. Even then, I would be very, very skeptical, very concerned, and probably not. And I love dogs. I really, really wanted to. You know, I had to fight my instinct to pet and be friends with the dogs. So, rabies, dogs, Asia. Their relationship is very, very different. You know, dogs are scavengers out there. Dogs are pests. You know, and many people in Asia, from what I've seen, didn't like the dog. Like, no, go away, go away, go away. But on the other hand, there were some that had families that had dogs of their own. Interestingly, they don't, although they might have dogs on their property, they don't name them like we do. Like, oh yeah, this is my little dog. He's called Rover. He's called Max. He's called Terry, or anything like that. They just, yeah, that's dog, which was quite amusing to me. Okay, all right. So yeah, Asia's relationship is very, very different, I found, to ours. So like I said, they use them a little bit as guard dogs, but generally they're not intricate. They're not part of the family, you know. All right. What other things they do in other countries? Right. Okay. So I'm fascinated by different cultures and their relationship with animals. So like I've already mentioned Cambodia. They do use rats and another rodent. I can't remember what the other rodent is, like a meerkat or something like that. For mine detection, they help find landmines. And this has been going on for a while, like the Halo Trust is a very big one. So landmines. Then you've got other countries, like in the Middle East, and camels. So the camels are used for meat, they're used for milk, they're used for carrying things, obviously people. So camels have a real big part of culture. They're also revered, you know, that they have races, the king is involved. So camels are really revered and loved as part of their culture in the Middle East, almost like horses here in the West. You know, humans love horses, but we don't eat the meat. Humans love horses here as a pet, you know, and it's also connected with aristocracy and money, horses and money. So Middle East is camels and money. So camels seem to be a very versatile animal in the Middle East. Then I think about Egyptians, you know, with their cats. And then I think about Jerusalem. So when I was a child, we would have nativity plays with, you know, Mary, Jesus, and the baby, and Joseph pulling or walking with a donkey, and Mary. This is from Christian religion. Mary riding on the back of the donkey. So from a very, very early age, children in the UK, especially going back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, went to nativity plays, participated in nativity plays, and there was always a donkey carrying Mary. So we've known about that for many, 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 many years of our life. And then obviously you think of in the 70s, 80s, 90s, animals being rescued, say from Spain or from Portugal or other countries. So donkeys have been in human culture for a long, long time as well, which I find quite interesting. So if you have any stories about animals within culture, really, really connecting in culture, whether you've got stories about your own animals, let me know in the comments. Let me know down below. I'm sure there's hundreds of you with interesting stories about your pets and what you think about other cultures and animals. All right, it's okay. So, right, that's all we have time for today. Remember to keep practicing your English. Remember to keep listening and enjoy it. Have fun, all right? So that's all I got time for now. Remember, stuff on the website and in Instagram. You know the drill. All right, take care, be safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.